great to see you in real life, or semi-real life. You're there in DC. I'm actually in Las Vegas. I'm not showing the flamingo outside, but it's great to see you, Tycely Williams.
Great. Great to see you, Jay. It's wonderful that technology enables us to connect, although we're many, many miles away.
Yes, and it usually works pretty well. So it's working today, which is the great thing. So where are you right now? Are you at your office?
Yeah, so I am in downtown DC. So right here, just a few blocks from the White House. Our offices are in downtown, so there's lots of hustle and bustle going on out and about in the city today.
Yeah, I'll bet. It's been a busy couple of weeks in DC for everybody.
It certainly has been.
So where are you working now? You've just changed roles recently. You've taken over as Chief Development Officer for America's Promise.
I am, yeah. So Jay, I am now working with an exceptional team here at America's Promise Alliance. And so we are an alliance of youth-focused organizations doing fantastic work, really trying to understand the needs of youth and identify ways to advocate, to create space so that they have agency. And it's great work. It's wonderful being around talented, smart, innovative young people, and it's certainly helping to keep me young. So I'm enjoying it.
Well, and you've been working, I guess, in different ways with youth for a long time, haven't you? I mean, your most recent role was at the YWCA, which has a very youth component, obviously. So what's been attracting you to this kind of work? How is it that you found this role?
You know, I'm not sure about most adults, but for me, the happiest days of my life, literally, was when I was a young person. I loved being a happy, healthy little chickadee, and I just loved the energy, the transparency, the honesty, the warmth, all that comes from being around children. So I have a passion for children and families, and I have my entire life, largely because I just have an enormous amount of comfort working with children, and they just bring me so much joy. So taking into account, Jay, that I don't have children of my own, I really enjoy the opportunity to connect with them during the workday and with nieces and nephews and godchildren outside of work.
Sure. In fact, my wife is a teacher, so she comes back every day and talks about her kids. And of course, she draws energy from that. And I know you do, working with through these organizations and outside of this with so many countless children, and their children of all different backgrounds, which I'm sure dovetails with some of the stuff that you'll be talking about very soon with us. And so the reason why I wanted to see if you could come in and chat for a few seconds about this today is that for anyone watching who doesn't know, Tycely will be presenting on tactical tips to properly position privilege, power, and prestige. And that's on Tuesday. Yeah. That's your flash class on Tuesday. That's February 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So can you tell us a little bit about that topic and you know, how much why you're focusing on that issue right now?
Yes. Well, Jay, I want to thank you for the invitation. I'm delighted to be back with you. I always enjoy our conversations, and I thank you for being a champion of our shared values and principles. But, you know, we started the conversation centered on our lived experiences. And I think for most of us, so much of what brings us passion comes as a result of how we have learned throughout our life journey. And for me, being a woman and being a person of color, equity has always been something that has been important to me, largely because as I've walked through my professional and personal journey, I have experienced incidents of racism and sexism, and I have just a passion as a leader to really work to reshape institutions and structural systems that either unintended or with elements of intentionality, continue to perpetuate racism and sexism. And the topic that we will be diving into with the Flash class is really talking about how to properly position privilege, power, and prestige. As charitable fundraisers, our responsibility is to secure financial resources. And with that is an inherent value of money and currency. And in no way am I encouraging us not to value money. I am encouraging us to take a look at the way we celebrate contributions of all sizes. So it's interesting, Jay, when I stepped into this position at America's Promise Alliance, I also began to think through how do we in the not-for-profit space listen and create opportunity for youth to make contributions to social good, taking into account the vast majority of them do not have money or currency to give. And so just really challenging myself to think through how do you show an appreciation of value and you send signals that contributions are welcome, and how do we challenge ourselves while not losing sight of the need to secure financial resources. So I'm really excited, Jay, to share a little bit about how I've challenged myself, what types of strategies I've come up with. And as I've had conversations with peers in the field and they've shared what they're doing, I'm just really excited to provide more visibility and to learn from others.
Yeah, and you've been doing this across the country. So this isn't just what you're doing as a leader in these organizations and now at America's Promise. This isn't just something you've lived, although that's obviously a huge part of who you are, contending with it with such, if I may say, grace as you're approaching these issues, helping other people to understand the sins of omission and commission that you talked about. But doing this nationally has its own challenges because people understand even these terms, privilege, power, prestige, in different ways. And I'm not sure that everybody understands those definitions quite well. But you've been on almost a bus and truck tour talking about this through AFP and other things around the country. So that provides this huge opportunity. What kinds of responses and reactions are you getting from people as they confront some of their own understanding of these issues and then work to embrace other people who have value they want to contribute to society that they may not have fully understood before these meetings?
Yes. Jay, as always, you make an excellent point, and I just want to extend the point that you made. And we will, at the start of our Flash class, make sure that we are creating shared understanding around what those independent terms mean and what happens as a result of those terms intersecting, which is often the case when we look at the identification based upon wealth screening, when we look at the fact that most of the relationships that we actively seek to establish and to cultivate are with individuals that we know have affluence and that they have the means to make, in some instances, modest gifts and in some instances, sizable gifts. But to answer your question, Jay, what I've learned is that in various communities and in various corners of the world, those words, power, privilege, and prestige, mean different things to different people. So what I am really inviting my peers to do is to step into their unique understanding within the culture that they are operating in. And what happens within culture is essentially, Jay, that our beliefs affect our behavior. And so I am really inviting individuals to help me think through what beliefs do their institutions hold true, and how are those beliefs infecting the way that they behave as frontline fundraisers, as leaders of team, And what tends to be the case, Jay, as you can imagine, the vast majority of people who are given attention tend to be individuals who have historically held wealth. And so you typically are looking at Caucasians and white Americans, and in some instances, individuals who do not represent or are not from communities of color. You also tend to see ageism at play. Once again, I am more cognizant of this working at America's Promise Alliance, but as I travel the country talking about these issues, I ran into so many individuals who were retired from full-time employment, and they spoke about their lived experience as it pertained to once upon a time having discretionary income to invest in charitable efforts and the attention they received. And once they found themselves on fixed income, they felt like the love was lost, that their worth was no longer deemed appropriate. And so that, too, is something that I just want to make sure that we as frontline fundraisers are taking into account, that individuals will journey in life and will have access to financial capital in various stages. And in some instances, there are situations and circumstances that may prevent people from giving. And I hope that we will not adjust the manner in which we steward and conduct outreach to our donors solely based upon what shows up on the spreadsheet at the end of the year.
Exactly. I mean, we don't do that when we're providing services. At least I hope we're intending not to do that. We try to see the unseen as well as what's obvious. Yeah. And we should definitely be doing that as fundraisers. So if as people think about what they're going to do next week and making a schedule, I certainly hope this will be on it. What would be your call to action? Why they should come and participate in this session with you? What is the one big takeaway do you think they're going to gain from this, which really means that they have to put this on their calendar and bring their colleagues and friends to attend?
Today, I've been really intentional about identifying tactical ways, regardless of what your institution is providing, that an individual can step into this session and glean ideas that they can collapse and incorporate into their individual practices. And so this session is not intended to speak to structural related change. It is really geared towards the individuals. So no matter where you sit within a not-for-profit organization, try to be really intentional about identifying ways that you can properly position power, privilege, and prestige.
And who better to tell us how to take action than a person who takes it every single day? Thank you, Tycely Williams, for giving us a window on this. So in case you miss any part of that, again, we're talking about her session, which is going to be a flash class in this series, the Masterminds, Who Better Than a Mastermind Yourself, to present. And that's Tuesday, February 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Tycely, thank you so much for taking time to give us kind of a mini preview of what you're going to talk about next week.
Thanks, Jay. And I look forward to seeing everyone real soon. We appreciate you, Jay, for hosting, and thanks for the opportunity.
Pleasure. It's great to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.